Another essential technique when learning how to play acoustic guitar is finger picking. Finger picking is exactly as it sounds. You use the right hand, picking hand, and pick with the fingers. You don't use a pick. And that way you can get separation in the chords and you can create some interesting rhythmic syncopations and use different techniques to spice up the sound of an acoustic rhythm part. First thing we're going to do is something called alternating bass. With alternating bass figures, you play a chord against a root note, and then that lower note alternates from one note to another note against the same chord. And generally, it's the root note against the fifth. All right, so I'm going to start with my C chord voicing that also has the fifth in the bass. And basically, I'm going to alternate between the root note and the fifth as I play the chord. So with the picking hand, or I'm going to assign either the top three strings or next to the top three strings to the index, middle, and ring, which will be picked simultaneously. But then the thumb moves back and forth between the two bass notes. That's alternating bass. Move over to F. Same concept. For G, since we don't have a lower note than this low sixth string, we're going to play the fifth by playing an open D. And then it goes back to C. Here's the example. All right, now let's try another method of using an alternating bass figure. This is going to be a little bit faster, and in the finger picking technique, I'm combining that alternating bass with some strumming type figures. And you hear this in all kinds of country music, Johnny Cash and Buck Owens and Merle Haggard, stuff like that. Here we go. So, I'm alternating between the open D and the open A, but I also try to do a downstroke and an upstroke with the rest of the fingers. It's a way to connect all the chords while keeping the rhythm part moving. All right, in this next finger picking pattern, this is the kind of thing you hear Paul Simon do all the time. I'm picking each note of the chord individually, and they all ring into each other. And I'll show you what I mean. So I'm starting with a C chord. And I'm going to pick the lowest note and then the highest note of the fretted note. So we're in the inside four strings. Fifth string, second string, and then I do the inside two. Fourth string, third string. Now I'm using my thumb, index, and ring. A lot of people prefer to use thumb, index, middle. Whichever you prefer. And when I switch to the next chord, so the picking pattern never changes. I'll move over to the sixth string when I play my G chord. But other than that, it's the same pattern. And it's a kind of pattern that sounds nice slow, it sounds nice fast, but you should start slow. get it to sound smooth. Here's the example. A nice twist on this picking pattern is instead of picking individual notes the whole time, we're going to pick pairs of notes at the start with the extremities of the chord, meaning the lowest and highest notes at the same time. And then the rest of the picking pattern is the same. This is known as Travis picking, named after Merle Travis, great country guitar player. And you hear this kind of picking pattern in all kinds of different rock and country music. One of the most famous examples is Dust in the Wind by Kansas. So here's the example. All right, so I start with the G chord, and the way I play it is I just have the extremities, 6th string, 1st string, both on the 3rd fret. And the reason I fret it like that is because the 2nd chord, I'm going to drop in 2nd fret of the D string and 1st fret of the B string to play a C over G. Same picking. Then to A minor. Twice, C, and back to our 1st chord. And you're going to hear this kind of thing in Landslide, too, by Fleetwood Mac. It's a real popular one, and all kinds of songs by Crosby, Stills and Nash, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. All right, now let's fill out this finger picking pattern a little more by adding a strum along with the picking pattern back and forth. And you're going to hear this kind of thing in some Bob Dylan songs like Boots of Spanish Leather, and you'll also hear it in Homeward Bound. It's a great technique. Here it is. So I start with A minor. So the alternate picking at the end, just like normal Travis picking, but the strum in between went to C, G, and D with an F sharp bass.